Howdy y'all, Equinox Fox here, and I thought I'd try something new. I thought I'd record a full gameplay of me playing Skarner, kind of show you my in and out process of what I do for the people that watch me through YouTube instead of Twitch. It should hopefully provide insight into my thought process and why I feel that Skarner jungle, Skarner top, Skarner literally fucking anywhere is still an extremely strong pick in the current meta. Now with the team matchup here, I decided to start red over blue, especially since I'm bot side and I'll get a stronger leash, which means a faster clear. Knowing that Varus mid doesn't have any way away from me, especially if I have red buff to be able to gank him, as well as the fact that I know Graves has a slower clear than myself, or at least I assumed, then I'd be able to try and invade him at his red and be able to kill him, or steal the buff, either or. Also, looking at the team composition for Skarner jungle is going to determine what I max in the jungle. Seeing that it's a Varus, an Aurelia, and a Graves, I know that I can invade on Graves pretty easily, and I know that I'll be able to gank Varus very easily. And finally, with Aurelia being the wild card of ganks, because I wasn't 100% sure if I'd be able to keep her locked in place fast enough for Jax and myself to kill her. After taking Krugs, and after doing this for quite a while, after a terrible experience with the Kha'Zix, I now always take E over W. Sure, the W is going to block maybe one or two auto attacks, but the E is going to stun it, do more damage, and it has a lower cooldown. It's just better overall. Plus, if you get invaded on the other side of that, you can turn around and stun them and let the buff do the work for you. Popping a pot and taking a look at mid lane just to see if I could really go for a level 2 gank legitimately and pull it off well. It really is a fair argument, I suppose. I could have gone for it, but my Azir was low. He's already used 2 corrupting potions. It's pushing, so I could try to bait it into tower, but it's better for me to find Graves' location at this point, look into his red buff, see if he's got it or not, and then plan for a counter gank instead. Seeing Aurelia top also lets me know, her teleport's down, so it's better to gank her early again, or put some pressure at bot lane, or let Jax know that he can also put pressure at any other lanes. Now this is where the fun for Skarner comes in. I have a sub 3-minute clear, which means that I can try to push my way into the enemy jungle, see what they're up to. And I see that Graves is gone, his red is gone. Since my Krugs aren't back, there's the possibility that he started red over blue. And to confirm this, I should have checked his Krugs, but if I knew he were to come back into his jungle, he would have taken the shrine, plus the gank at mid lane was just too delicious, knowing that he had no way out. A good gank later, and a little bit of salt, we can start to look at the map and see what our next plan is. We should probably start thinking about going back, but catching sight of Graves' top lane lets me know that I can counter jungle a little bit, I can be a little on the safe side at bot lane, and then I can leave. Now realistically here, I should have captured the shrine and counter jungled first, but seeing how bot lane isn't currently in their lane, means that they could have been checking the jungle for their Graves anyway. Or even worse, when the shrine gets taken, they can rotate faster and I won't have a way to respond to it. Seeing how mid lane's pushed and under tower means that I can start to counter jungle, kind of take some creeps and then head out. Gotta keep an eye on bot lane and lane to see if there's no rotations, and we're pretty safe to just kind of mess with Graves here. Now this is where things get fun, and I'm very happy with my support for this. She saw that I was under fire, I saw a ward there, and I know Graves was chasing me. I decided to wait in the bush because I could either rotate down or I could rotate around, I could flash, I had a lot of ways out. But I also had a really good position to get this Varus. If he decided to be aggressive and tried to take a gank bot lane, with Sona coming up, we could snap it. Easy. Now with that out of the way and bot lane coming up, it's time for me to dip and finally time for me to buy. Gonna go for a blue smite for slowing on ganks, for bot lane not having the mobility to keep up, and top lane just to keep people in place or to chase them down. Follow it with a ruby crystal, boots for mobility, a couple health potions, and a pink ward just for safety's sake. I stumble on Graves in the jungle trying to take Skeeter. My buff is down, so I should have actually thought about that sooner, but I knew Azir was pushed and I know Jax is pushed. I decide to fight it out because I expect them to rotate with me, and they do! He decides to dip over the wall, and we try to go for the Rift Herald, but I'm too low and it's too early. It's not going to work, so we just leave, and I've got a pink ward on top of it in case they decide to take it back. Seeing how I can't get a solid gank top lane on an Aurelia without my ultimate, I let bot lane know where the Graves is, so maybe they can make a play in turn, and we can start to rotate on bottom side jungle. I go back to farming, and I look for another opportunity to gank. I take Skeeter, and I watch my experience. I know that this is going to push me to 6. I see that Azir has the lane frozen at mid lane, and I know that Varus doesn't have an escape. One ultimate, he's dead. It was a little too pushed for the actual gank, but we blew heal, we made him retreat, which was fine. So in the end, we blew a summoner spell for me just sort of rotating around. And seeing on the map how his red is respawned, it's time to counter jungle once again, press into this Graves and see what I can pull off. We actually catch this Graves just in time. He's just starting his red, I have smite, and I have the advantage of knowing that he doesn't know I'm here, but he knows it's warded, which means that I might be looking at it, and that if Azir rotates, he should be watching that as well. I end up missing my smite, which is a shame, but we end up catching the Graves, pull him out, stun him in place, and just burst the hell out of him. To top it all off, I give the kill to Azir and make sure to give it to him, so that way he has blue buff, an advantage over Varus, red buff as well, and I get to keep my blue buff. To top it all off, seeing how Aurelia just died to Jack's top lane knows that I won't have a rotation from top, and the only real problem is going to come from mid lane if they decide to fight us in the jungle, which means that his Krugs are probably not gone and that I can take them as well too. I leave the smaller Krug behind, making sure to slow down Graves' progress, seeing how it won't respawn. I take the shrine, so if he takes it back, I'll know his position, and I did. Having not seen Graves in a while at top lane or anywhere near his topside jungle, the Shrine's not gone, and I know that I've been showing a lot of love to top and mid, means that he could be going down to bot lane to try and get that gank there. I ask if they're alright, see if they have it warded, and I catch sight of Graves going down, so I make my way down to try and help out. I actually end up making a mistake here. I should have actually ulted Graves and taken him back instead of taking the Thresh. It's okay though, seeing how Graves retreats. It allows us to take Dragon. Thresh is dead, they probably don't have it warded, and they definitely can't contest it. I take a quick dip into the jungle, take the shrine, and I head back out. There's no reason for me to counter jungle with both people at bot gone, mid gone, and the jungler gone. That's just asking to get collapsed and killed. But if I take the shrine, it'll allow me to really counter jungle later, or it'll let me know when he takes it back. Another almost pretty fatal mistake I made here was not paying attention to where I was and not paying attention to their hooks. The E was good for the slow and it probably saved me in the end. Even more so, my Skarner Shrine and the Skeeter buff saved my life there. I could have flashed to make it out, but there was no reason to. I had enough speed. Taking a glance at the minimap every good 10 seconds or so, like you should, proved to show that Graves' red buff just came back up. We've got mid lane killed, we've pushed, Jax is fed as hell. This is the time where we start to group, really start to press forward our advantage, and we start to win this game. I know right now that I can take his red buff and probably dip without any issue whatsoever, or I can get a fight on top of it and bait him into coming into his own jungle, drag him back to my own team, and then we can kill him. I'm thinking I'm falling in love with this Thresh. I keep messing up and grabbing him instead of the one I want. I flash to try and save the Azir, proc the stun, but I'm a little too late and he dies. I end up getting the Varus anyway, and then we have to retreat from the Graves almost immediately. I see that Lucian's alone top lane, he just killed Jax, and nobody's really in place to rotate around it but myself. So I smite the blue, try to take it as fast as possible and rotate up there. Stupidly enough, the Lucian tries to fight me 1v1, and he doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell at that. My second big, almost really fatal mistake here was not hitting that last hit on the tower, but instead trying to dive and grab somebody. I assumed the tower was low enough that 1 or 2 auto attacks would kill it, and it was, but we just didn't get that 1 or 2 more auto attacks. Instead, we focused on who I was going for. We burned some summoner spells, but almost at the cost of a quadra kill. Now, I'm not really certain 100% why Graves decided to turn around with Thresh and fight this, seeing how it's 2 damaged carries versus support and a jungler, but I suppose they thought it was just me instead of Jhin and me, so we turn around and we fight it on my shrine. Jhin is also smart enough to drop a Death Lotus on top of it and stun him in place, in which I stun him in place, in which we kill the Graves, which blows up on another Death Lotus, which we stun in place, and he dies as well. Some crazy chase fight is going on in mid lane, and I see Thresh is cut out from the rest of his team. I can chase him down, slow him, and my shrine is right behind him. That means that I have full advantage chasing whoever I want to chase into the jungle, and we rack up a few sweet kills because of it. Now, I head on back here for 2 reasons. One reason is the 3,000, but the other reason is knowing that we've got 2 kills, my team is pushing, and Lucian is alone at bot lane. If I can stop Lucian from going back, then he can't retaliate to that, and then I can also get a kill in the meantime, and maybe save the tower. Now with this many people gone, my team retreating, and me at full health and full mana, it's time for me to try and take the inhibitor, and I can fight just about anybody that comes up to me. Jax helped me there with that teleport. We got a kill, we got 2 summoner spells, and we're good to go. We can retreat, and we can plan for our next move. But unfortunately enough, or I guess fortunately enough, we didn't get the chance to really go over that. They surrendered before we had the opportunity to do anything more. and we rack up our win. Somehow getting a perfect 904 still doesn't result in an S rank, but Riot, I love you either way. I hope that you learned something from the video in terms of my thought process for Skarner in the jungle, and decided to give him a try sometime. You're free to add me on League if you'd like to ask some questions, leave them below in the comments, whatever. I hope this helped you out, and I hope you have a great night.